On Something to Talk About, they are the miners of information on Guam. Shannon Murphy and Rita Nauta catalog Guam's historical, cultural events and practices for Guampedia. On this episode, we learn how they gather the information and deal with the numerous requests for it. The keepers of Guam's most important facts on Something to Talk About. Hey, thank you for joining us on Something to Talk About. Of course, we've got a spread of food because there's a bunch of chicks at the table, and we pretty much order everything on the menu. I'm glad to have in the show today Shannon Murphy and Rita Nauta from Guampedia. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
How are
Thanks
you?
for inviting us.
Thank you for coming. Happy Mes Chamorro.
Viva.
And we have food for you. There's Kadabika and Canalacutney. We're getting some fish and fruit and chicken. We got a whole thing going on. So feel free to eat while we're going along with this, okay? All right. So, how are you guys doing? It's a, you know, when you look at a resource like Guampedia, you look especially at this in this season.
Yes, this is our busy season.
Yeah, right. Do you have like people trying to find out what little tidbits about Guam because of the concentration on the month?
Well, I think it starts even in November or December when they start the Guam History Day. All the high school students are working on history projects. So that we get a lot of requests ever since then, and then the History Day was just last Saturday. So that was, you know, and then right like, into Mes Chamorro.
Is
that
it's a go-to research for anything Guam?
And our trends have, last March, we actually broke the record because we averaged 25,000 visitors, unique visits per month. Mm-hmm. And March, we always, of course, get a spike. So last year, I think we hit 50,000, 49. It's like 49,000 unique visits. And
so, like, if you went there 10 times, it would still only count you as one.
So a unique visit is somebody coming for the first time?
Or no, but it's just from each your computer.
People, individuals.
Oh, I see.
So as opposed to, you know, having our media editors sit there all day and just visit.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
They have to.
So is there an appeal outside Guam? Can you track what it is? Tell me who comes.
Chamorro's in the States.
Yeah.
50% of those unique visits come from the mainland.
What do they want? What are they looking for?
I think they just want to know who they are. They were raised in the States. They want to know more about themselves, their people, their heritage.
The constant feedback is especially after we launch a new project and they read it, they get reactions. We get reactions like, wow, I'm really able to reconnect. And I think that's really a big part of it is Guampedia having that online presence, and people use the online community to connect in different ways. Yeah. And this opportunity gives those 90,000 plus Chamorros in the United States, continental U.S., having that bridge to Guam.
And then I hear too from the students who are going to college, and they're doing their homework. Yes. I mean, their papers and stuff about Guam.
Yeah.
And they love it. There's Guampedia really has helped them to open up all these resources that before they would have had to come to Guam and go to the library, look things up, take notes. Or now they can just go online and everything's accessible.
And there's four of us that we have our media editor get the comments. We get feedback and messages and stuff. And in fact, one of the unique ones, very memorable, was this woman from the East Coast. And her son was marrying a woman of Chamorro descent. She's never been to Guam, but she's of Chamorro descent, and she'd really like to do some things that are Chamorro-centric for her daughter-in-law at this wedding.
Yeah.
So, Shannon's like, okay, Rita, we have everybody on the team has their expertise, and it's like, okay, so, what can you share with
and we had another one, too. This guy was saying, Mike, son's getting married in the States, and he knows there's something to do with those coins, or something to do with the coins in the wedding ceremony, but he didn't remember exactly what. And could you tell me? And so I called Polly Eric and said, what do they signify? What are you supposed to say when you do and he told us exactly, and I shared it with him, and they were able to put it into their wedding.
Did you then take that information and put it somewhere on
in Guampedia?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you get that all the time? People are asking something
yeah,
that you
or they want to do they want to do the novena. Remember for the Nino, they were like saying, "I need the prayers, but I don't have all of them. Could I have them?"
I have an actual laundry list when I go to schools to do presentations about why history is important. And one of the things is, it helps us with our identity, where we come from, who we are, helps us to connect. But it also about relevance, about what's going on with issues today on the island, that history can really help us. So, things that the young people, especially with this revitalization that we've been undergoing the last 20 years with dance and chant, you see all the gumas, all the kids. So they want to know. They want content. They want stuff that goes, that backs it up.
Yeah. So for instance, if you're going to start carving jewelry, you want to make something that is culturally true or relevant. So then they'll go and look in Guampedia and look at pottery designs, and even your nephew Joey is making
have all of that stuff there, like that detailed stuff about
photographs and it's all in there.
Gosh, can you imagine how many years has it been that Guampedia was?
We started the planning in 2002, and then we got the first grants to create the content in 2005, and then 2008 we went online, but we only had 300 art entries in there. And now we have more than 1,000, and we have I don't know how many.
As if we don't have enough.
No, we don't have enough. It's never too much. There you go.
And this is truly a fiesta style buffet. We all are.
Well, there's cut and peas over there too. So wait. So when you started this, and then you get to this point, here you are in 2016.
And we're busier than ever.
That's what I was going to say.
I think we would be done.
There's no way, because the information is never ending, right? People's curiosities, and like you said, I call it renaissance. It's a revitalization, whatever you call it. We're going through an identity movement right now.
Isn't it great? I
love
love it.
And I'm thank you for saying that, because that to me is such a turn on. To see people. I was watching for the first time. I didn't get to see it when it was all the rage, but I had an opportunity to take my time and watch the I Am Chamorro documentary with Father Eric. I mean, first of all, the guy is a
great
natural-born
storyteller.
Actor. Yeah, he's really good. He's
Natural.
really very good. He looks good on camera. But the other thing is, there was this moment. I remember in the beginning, this young girl who's from the mainland just bursts out crying. She got emotional about having lost something that she probably felt a connection to, but never knew it until she was full on into, this lifestyle that was even foreign to her. But innately, there was something that she knew that she connected with. And to see a young woman, a member of the youth, just express themselves that way was really refreshing, because I know we went through a generation of people who we were all out there. But to find coming around to this identity, doesn't that feel good to you guys?
Yeah.
That's
what
keeps us going.
That's why we keep doing it.
I know, you keep documenting.
But several, or maybe it was that 3 years ago, we got these grants from Guam Preservation Trust and Gannett just to explore the whole history of Chamorro efforts towards self-determination.
Yeah.
And we added 30 new entries telling about the different constitutional conventions, all the things that people here have been doing for more than 100 years to try and get to resolve the status issue. Yeah. And then after that, all these students are started reading those and writing papers about it, and so it was it felt really good to see.
It's kind of fulfilling to be a resource.
We actually have I think it's an 8-minute documentary produced by Lazarus Kanata, and it was one of the entries into the National History Day competition.
Yes.
But based on that, our section on Guampedia about self-determination, he did a documentary about it. And if you don't know too much about self-determination, the whole movement, watch it, because this kid will take you through it. It's like the cliff notes of all the entries in Guampedia.
About that
that's
topic,
pretty interesting, because the self-determination question, like you said, is a long time coming, and we are probably making more forward advancements in the topic because more and more people are talking about
it.
And so with the resource,
you can actually go in there and read the actual Constitution that they came up with, and the Organic Act and all its iterations, because it was changed over the years. They're all in there.
There were sometimes when I was writing stories and I needed to go back and I would have to flip.
Do you remember those days when you had to go
to the library and try and dig through the files?
Exactly. No, and that was the next point I was going to make. The thing that makes it so cool is the technology is such a help.
Yeah.
That there's no way you could have been doing this as swiftly as you have.
And the libraries actually are really grateful for Guampedia because it makes their job a lot easier because they help us get things done and put them in there, and then they don't ever, people coming in there saying, I need this and that. It's in Guampedia.
Yeah.
So it saves them time.
So they refer to you too.
Yeah.
Wow, the library system is referring to you,
and we have to look at the library just like MARC, the Micronesia Area Research Center, as they're preserving the books, the actual books.
Physical books.
We, to have them gone through as opposed to being able to see it virtually. So in our MARC gallery, you can see the Guam Recorders, all the different
those magazines that were put out before the war. Yeah.
So you can have you're virtually visiting. Looking through
Well,
the
I want
pages.
to talk about. We're going to take a quick break here so you can eat something, and then when we come back, I want to ask you about how the information that you've been putting out has exposed Guam to this larger stage of interest, in this area. I mean, we've got of course, the buzzword is the military buildup. But there's got to be other avenues where you have been able to expose Guam, maybe on television and that sort of thing. Yeah, we're going to bite something. Thanks. Welcome back. We're here at King's Something to Talk About. We're feasting on an entire menu. We're using Mesh Chamorro as an excuse to eat everything Chamorro on their menu. But I wanted to ask you about how Guampedia has grown to a point where you are now playing to a larger stage than just people who are interested in Guam or want to investigate their past, right? It's catapulted into really cool projects that get national attention.
Yes, and we're really excited because one of those projects, it actually took place last year, and we were contacted if we could be of assistance more as a consultant for a production that was going to be taking place here. So this weekend, the Beachfront Bargain Hunt, I guess that's a kind of HGTV.
Yeah. Beachfront Bargain Hunt.
Beachfront Bargain Hunt. They actually shot 2 episodes here on Guam and 1 in Saipan. And so the first episode is going to feature Agana Beach condos, and I'm not going to let too much into it because I'm still. But working with that production team, they were able to access Guampedia before they landed and develop the concept. The story and how it's done is that it's the transaction, the real estate transaction happened, but they're recreating it. As far as
houses
with the client on
Guam. So it all happened, but what they did was they've identified a local realtor.
Very cool.
And then they have clients, and then they said, okay, let's pick this client. So they have the storyline before they come to Guam and their research and all of that. But when we came into the picture, it's like, well, you have a scene where you have the family doing the jet skis and all that. And we piped in and said, well, you can jet ski anywhere, but would you like to ride a Sazan Tasi, a Galidi, from this? We've been reviving our seafaring tradition.
And we're like, yes!
So we were able to give a Chamorro-centric and a cultural heritage point of view that...
We took out their paper flowers and put in real flowers from Guam.
Yeah, and, because, they're a traveling production crew, and they're, it's usually they typically work with other local production houses, but they wanted, because it's a more a travel log.
Yeah.
You know, they feature these sites, but for all the sponsors, they feature the location.
Right.
So they wanted the history and heritage of Guam because it's
like,
what makes
doesn't it
us.
say on the screen too? It'll say Guam is blah blah blah.
Yeah, it gives all the information, and you see their episodes. So, and what we found out when they were doing post production, because we had given them a copy of our book, Amazing Facts About Guam, and
Right here.
oh yeah, shameless plug, nonprofit. But they actually told us, they asked us permission if they can feature the factoids as pop-ups during the episode. So
Yeah, there was a
no on
yeah,
that. We had to confer.
We'll think about it. We'll have to have a meeting between the two of us. Wow, that's pretty cool. So that actually, when you do something like that, then that sort of perpetuates, right? That it's sort of everybody
well,
will
it also,
use it.
just to make Guam in a better eye for the national audience, right?
Yeah.
People can get a more interesting, in-depth kind of perspective of
Well,
our
then
life
also
here.
because we're also up on FestPac, you guys have actually inserted something in.
Mompedia, this is actually, the idea was that for teachers or families or anybody who wants to learn about all the visiting FestPac delegations before they come, so that when they meet them, they can say, oh, I read about, he doesn't, know about a little bit about their history and where they are, we even have an audio file on how to say hello in each language.
Each mayor has adopted a delegation,
Yes.
right, and they have to host them for an event. I'm pretty sure that they use the resource in order to find out,
And
just the personalities of them.
so you get a brief profile of each island. There's 27, but what we've also done is connected all of it in terms of giving a profile of Micronesia, Melanesia, Polynesia, and then also an overview of Austronesia and what connects us in the migration.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cultural. Just there's a lot of things that we all share as
Right.
far as canoes, navigation. There's weaving. The things that people eat are pretty much the same.
That's here's the other thing. Do you also have like a whole section on food and food protocol and that sort of thing?
We do. We had a project several years ago about what's on the fiesta table. So we were looking at like each food you look at here, like how did they get on our fiesta table? What is it? Like this? Did this come? I mean, because
That's dried beef, right?
Yeah. Where do you think that came from? So we looked at
And the fly.
mashed potatoes.
Well, that comes with the pork.
So we found something.
Well, mashed potatoes and fried chicken. It just shows how.
The lumpia, right?
Sashimi.
Calaguin.
I mean, let's look at our Guam's
We didn't
history
have
and
grapes
learn
growing
about.
here, but okay.
But
So
we do have a name for it, ubes.
what?
In Chamorro.
Grapes?
It's ubes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like Iba. Aluba.
Ubes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we also tell about how to lay out the table, like how to set what
Starch
goes
first.
and everything's all in
Desserts
there.
at the end.
So if
Oh,
you're
really?
having your first fiesta,
I know that there's a thing, but I'm always, when it gets in the middle part, I'm not quite sure where it all. So it's like the starch, the rice, and the tortillas, and
Yes.
And there are really interesting stories about our fiesta table and what you see. Tony Malia Ramirez, one of our oral historians, he goes to a lot of the fiestas. And one of the things he's profiled about Santa Rita Fiesta, the Natal Totomano after the procession, is that Santa Rita always has meatloaf, and like 5 or 6 meatloaves. But it has to do with the stewards, the Navy stewards that were, that they enrolled in the Navy early on. And so they,
for U.S. citizens.
they're called the Brown Stewards, and a lot of them retired and lived in Santa Rita because they were former Sumai residents.
Yeah, that's the only way that you could.
Yeah.
So that was the only job you had.
Yeah.
In the
So
military,
meatloaf was one of those dishes they brought to Guam,
And even shrimp patties, I found out was the original one was corn fritters, but Chamorro's
added the shrimp.
And these are things that we actually are feature in our other section, Voices of Our Elders, is that, all these different foods, influences from outside, but we made it our own. And that's what we're celebrating in Mes Chamorro, is that it's our own way, like empanada. Spaniards have the
Mexico.
Mexico have their own version, but it's not the same like the Chamorro version with the pica and
The filling
And the
is different.
tamales as well.
Yeah.
the nixagaga, the red rice.
Yeah.
And we're talking about food in the
And it's all sitting in front of us. We're too shy to eat. But all of these different things about Guam are, we have these idiosyncrasies, and some of them have perfectly great explanations. Are you ever stumped by an idiosyncrasy that you go, I do not know?
Then we
How
call
on
people.
Okay, so but who do you call? I mean, and plus that,
Depends
you
on the
get
topic.
valuable resources like Dr. Bennett Dunca. It was. You see these losses, and you sort of see information
There's certain
sort of
people,
go
like,
away.
I want to grab them before they pass because they hold so much knowledge.
But you just can't walk up to them and go, before you die.
You used to tell with me.
Well, don't you think that they would be honored in a way? I would think that to lend that, I think they're just waiting to be asked a lot of times.
Like when Tony Palomo passed.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Tony Palomo was a big
Luckily,
hit,
we
yeah.
did get a lot of things from him. I mean, he shared
was a
so
prolific
much.
writer.
Do you agree that the museum should be named after him?
Is that what they're thinking? Really?
Yeah, there's a bill out there to name him. Would you not think that was
That would be-
appropriate?
I
Wouldn't
think
that
it
be?
would be. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
And then, and other people who know the political, Guam's political past.
Climate,
And I mean, just the whole beginning of the different parties. And, those people are mostly gone now.
Yeah.
So it is, but we have talked to a lot of them. But
Do you ever feel, as a researcher and a protector of and a guide of information, do you ever feel like they're like in these things that are inexplicable, that you just kind of go, well, it's kind of a Guam feeling. It's kind of you can't really put your finger on it, but if you live here, you know it.
Yeah.
If you don't live here, you'll learn it.
remember
you'll get it.
there was these small books that I think Senator Ben Pengaline and a couple other people that put English the Chamorro way.
Oh, yeah,
Remember those?
Oh, gosh,
those
yeah.
are full of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just funny little things
Yeah,
that we all.
the generic name for a soda was a Coke or yeah.
But that's something really interesting that Tony Malia Ramirez brought up just Saturday when we had this trek into a cultural heritage site was that Historia, which is history, right, in Chamorro, is of course borrowed, right, a Spanish word.
Yeah.
So, and he was saying that we don't talk about our past in that context. So that's why the word Historia is in our language. He said we talk about our life way, Linatlata. That's how we talk about our past because it's always part of us. So, just the
Good
context of what there are, and, in any language you can't take, maybe through Google translation, one word like uvas or grapes and say there's got to be a word for it, unless it's there in their area or geography, right? So you can't expect to fit every word in translating and interpreting, and there are those Chamorroisms or the things that are unique to that, you just can't explain because it is just is,
What do people say, and have they ever said this to you, Shannon? Your family has been here longer than a lot. Yeah.
She's our mega hogger.
Yeah, you've been here for a long time. Everybody knows the Murphy family. You've been, a great part of disseminating information. The Murphys, you must go down.
They chronicled a lot of Guam's.
What would be a Chamorro family name for the Murphys? You know what I mean?
Familian pipe dream.
And Ziggy Pagu, Familian
pipe dreams. But that, I think what's interesting about that is that you guys have been here, and like I said, you're a defender of the information and a keeper of it. Do people ever? Do you ever get people to get a company to go, what is that?
What are you, Holly?
Yeah, what are you, Holly? Get it.
I always worry about that.
Do you really?
I do worry about it because I think, people like that don't know me, they might think like, here's another Holly telling us about our history or culture. I don't really want to hear it.
Yeah.
That's where I let me talk.
Yeah. But you're not defensive of it because you belong, and there's not a.
But I get that. I understand, and I'm not Chamorro, so. My kids are, my grandkids are, but I'm not, but I was raised here, so
It doesn't matter.
it's okay.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that, and when I go out to the schools and everything, I said, we're not about, it's all about Chamorro. It's like anybody that calls Guam home,
Yeah.
you should know what about the Chamorros. I said, because they were the first ones
This
here.
is the homeland of the
Yeah,
Chamorro
and
people.
that's
Yeah.
part of what gives off the unique part, that Hafaday spirit. So,
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for coming in and sharing this story with me. I think it's always fun to talk about things that we've been talking about for a long time and seeing just the overwhelming success. You must get
We
emotional.
could talk for
I'm like
another
tear-
hour.
I'm tearing up. Just because it's such a beautiful thing, and for the resource to be shared by
We're
so
too
many
tired
people
to
is just
cry.
awesome.
And she's
cry later.
she started from when it was just an idea.
Exactly
That's why
that.
we call her our Maga Haga.
Thanks
Thank
a lot
you.
for joining us. Biba Guam, right?
Yes, Biba.
See you next time.
This is Moxie.